All right, looks like we're rolling. All right, welcome to the Armchair Warrior. My name is Rick Layton, and another episode of From Rookies to Rock Stars. Tonight we're with Eric Komar from, is that Bridgeport, New York?
Yes, sir.
All right, so I guess the first question is it Yankees or is it Mets?
It is Yankees, and about a half hour ago, Aaron Judge hit number 62. And
He
I'm
did
pretty
do it. All right, that's awesome, man. I had not heard that yet. I was at my grandson's ball game, so I didn't see it. Well, that's awesome. I think he's a good dude.
He seems like it. Actually, arm wrestling friend of mine, Rick Banis, lived not too far from where Aaron grew up. I guess he followed Aaron through little league and high school and all that. So he's a big fan of him as well.
Well, good deal. Yeah, he seems like a good fella, and he doesn't appear to be on the juice and everything like a lot of those guys were that he's breaking their records, McGuire and those guys. So, of course, he doesn't need to be when you're, what, 6'7", maybe, or something like that?
Yeah, 280 pounds. I can't believe his speed and the fact that he can steal some bases being as close to 300 pounds as he is, but
Yeah,
he's got those long legs.
phenomenal athlete. I bet he could flat arm wrestle if he got some training.
Absolutely.
All right. So, how old are you?
I'll be 38 tomorrow, actually.
38 years old tomorrow. All right, cool deal. When did you start pulling? How long you been at it?
See, this past June was 8 years.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right. So I'm a little year senior on that. I've been pulling for 35.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
so not sure if you know much about me, but I've been in a chair for 27 years from an automobile accident. So, you were telling me as we talked earlier. So you were born with, did you say spinal bifida?
Spina bifida. Yep.
Spina bifida. Okay. All
Mhm.
right. So
Yep.
38 wonderful years of that tomorrow. So,
Yep.
well, that's cool that you're getting out and staying active. And I understand you had a pretty exciting tournament this past week or so. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yep. So I went to IFA Worlds in Dieppe, France. Got to tour majority of the area. Dieppe is not very far from Normandy. It's about 2 hours from Normandy Beach. And August 19th, 1942, a couple years before D-Day, Allied forces, mostly Canadians, made tried to make an attack on the Axis forces there in that were occupying France at the time, and unfortunately they failed in their attempt. But there's a lot of history right there in Dieppe regarding that, and you can just envision, what things might have looked like as you're standing on one of the cliffs. We toured a few museums and castles, and there's still some obviously disarmed guns around the area where you could see where they would have shot offshore at incoming boats, and it was real humbling to be
I can
on
imagine.
in the area where all that significant history occurred. We saw some
Absolutely. Yeah,
other
good.
really great things too. Some really beautiful cathedrals, and then I don't know if you can tell, but I'm kind of a big boy and I like to eat. So we had some really good French food. I had some escargot, had a lot of creme brulee. Um, we even found some really good French pizza. I was a big fan of that.
Cool. So, what do you weigh?
Oh gosh, 270 was the last time I started. Last time I stopped checking. It's been
Yeah,
been a couple of months,
yeah.
and I've been moving in the wrong direction. But starting, well, tomorrow's the birthday, but the day after tomorrow, I'm going to go back to a diet that was really working for me back in 2020. In 2020, I lost 20 pounds in about 6 months with really good diet and exercise program that somebody drew up for me, and I'm going to get back on that starting on the 6th.
Well, I'm sure the arm wrestling world doesn't care anything about this, but the disability world does. Have you had any problems with pressure sores?
Yeah, I think I probably had 3 of them open up on me in the past 10 years or so. Fortunately, I've got enough sensation. The first one, I didn't really, for some reason, I just thought it was a scratch or something pretty insignificant. I didn't realize the significance of it. And it got to a grade 2. But um, since then, I know what it feels like. I know what to be wary of. My doctor actually let me know that it's not just from sitting; it's from any sort of sliding or repetitive movement. So that got me thinking. Based on where it was, that got me thinking. The way that I turn to get in and out of the driver's seat of my vehicle was probably the source of it. I also uh, since then I got a new chair and a new cushion. The previous cushion I had was foam, and they have this really interesting thermal mapping. They can lay it on your
I've seen it. Yep.
they can lay it on your wheelchair cushion, and it will indicate where you're putting pressure most on the cushion, so that they can make a cut into the cushion to relieve some of the pressure. But the folks who designed my wheelchair did um, is we just went with an air filled cushion. It's I forget what it's called. I know it's a
Like a
Roho.
Rojo.
Yeah, it's a quad. You can fill it. You fill it completely, and then there's a slider button where you can send the air. You can lean one way or another and send air wherever you need it, and then close the valve so that you can. Let's say you have a pelvic tilt one way or another, you can fill it up higher on one side than on the other to compensate for that pelvic tilt.
Sweet.
And
Well, let me be the first to scare you that will shut your world down quicker than anything. Like I said, I've been in mine 27 years. Had a couple little tiny ones, look like a mosquito bite. Put a patch on it for a month, and it's gone. Well,
yep,
then after about the fourth one, I don't know. I'm 27 years in, so 21 years in. What started out as a mosquito bite one day, a week later was that big. A month later was that big around. And that deep. You could literally have took a cue ball and put it in that thing. And I had no clue it was there. So I have been fighting that something fierce. So stay on top of that, dude, because life was rolling pretty good. No pun intended, but it was rolling pretty good there. And then all of a sudden, I was in the bed 20 hours a day for 16 straight months trying to heal the thing. And it's about that big now. It's manageable, knock on wood. So yeah, let me be the first to scare you on that. Make sure you keep that good. That'll be a plus.
yep. I've got 2 friends my own age. One had to have his leg amputated, and I have another friend who's had skin grafts and surgeries and infection. And I believe, pretty sure those were both related to pressure sores that went undetected. And then, unfortunately, a third friend who was about 20 years older than me, we lost him a couple of years ago. He was diabetic, but he got a pressure sore that he battled with and had surgery and bone graft and skin graft for many years, and unfortunately, we lost him a couple of years ago.
Well, I hate to hear that. Now, you and I will talk much more about this off camera and all that good stuff. But let's get to that world, man. Tell me what division you were in. What obviously it was super heavyweight, I guess. Tell me a
Yep.
little bit about that and just start me at the beginning of it. Walk me through it.
So I did I registered for the super heavyweight. Let's see, physically impaired sitting class. The weight class there is over 85 kilos. Now 85 kilos runs, if I'm not mistaken, that's about 187 pounds roughly here or
Okay.
there. I haven't been that weight since I was about 15, maybe.
Yeah.
And I wish they'd have a couple more weight classes above that. And I just wish I wish we could get more competitors, especially from especially on Team USA, more competitors in the para division, disabled division, however we want to call it. I prefer para, but internationally it's called the disabled class. Um, but I had two opponents. One of them was actually he moved up. There were no other opponents in the weight class lower, so he came up to compete against myself and another gentleman who were larger. I give him credit for having that courage to come up and compete against guys that are bigger than him. And he got a gold medal for his weight class, as he should, because
Right.
he showed up. Um, but the obvious, well, I shouldn't say obviously, but the larger of the two gentlemen, Darius Grabowski, I believe his name was. I apologize.
What
But Darius,
country was he from?
Poland.
Poland.
Yeah. Darius was the stronger of the two, and gave me he gave me a good fight on the left, and the right hand was a greater fight. I was sore from the get go with the right arm for some reason. The first match that I had started with the gentleman from India, and then faced Darius um, after him, and my arm was pretty tweaked after that. Um, my coach Christopher Myers, once I saw that I was only going to have I originally only thought I'd be competing against Darius. It wasn't until I got there that a more detailed registration list was released, and the gentleman from India was on there, and so I found out I had third. So Chris encouraged me to go ahead and signed up for the standing open class.
Oh wow.
I over here and at home, uh, all the arm wrestling I do, just about all of it. I do compete. I go to Virginia every year for sit down nationals, but the majority of the arm wrestling that I do here in the States is standing up. I hold onto the peg with my non arm wrestling arm. I grab onto my opponent, and I more or less just throw myself, in the direction I'm supposed to go, and just hold on and pull. I do have enough balance. Obviously, I'm hindered in terms of hit speed, and if I need to change position, change angle for any reason, I'm a little bit hindered there. But I've been fortunate enough to come away with some state championships in New York, and I think I got one in Pennsylvania as well.
Sweet.
Um,
New
some
York's
state
not a small arm wrestling state either, buddy.
Well, we got some big boys. I've competed with Mike Aiello, and then we've had Travis Bajan come to town. I've locked up with him. That was a quick affair. And
Who was that? Who was that one?
Travis Bajan.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's my buddy there.
Had the pleasure of pulling Ron Bath in sit downs in Virginia. He's a gentleman. He let me hit. We locked up, and he kind of raised his eyebrow as if to say he was impressed by what I had, and then he gently put me in my place.
Ron Bath is a super nice guy. I started arm wrestling in '87, put on my first tournament in '89, just a trophy tournament, no money. I'm nobody. Nobody knows me from Adam. Of course, I'm in North Carolina. We don't have snow where I'm at. Well, this thing was in February, I think, or something like that. So all of a sudden on about Wednesday afternoon, or maybe it was Thursday afternoon, we get like 6 inches of snow. Well, to us, that's the end of the world. You know, y'all laugh at us. That's the end of the world down here. So on Friday about dinner time, it got up to about 50 degrees. All the snow melted. I'm like, all right, cool. So I think the weigh-ins were from 10 to 12 or something like that. Like I said, first tournament, I don't know anybody. I don't know what I'm doing. And so it's like 11:30. We got maybe 8 or 10, 15 people, I don't know, signed up. I'm like, all right, this is going to be the worst tournament in history. All of a sudden, here comes a great big black limousine rolling up. Ron Bath, Johnny Walker from, Brzink's main guy way back in the day. Let's say Bath, Walker, Burt Whitfield, Charlie Weems. All these guys drove up from Atlanta to a nobody's tournament to pull for a trophy. And I thought that was just the coolest thing ever. I'm like, you don't have that in other sports. I mean, they were superstars. So me and Bath have been friends for a long time. I ended up later on. I did a series of tournaments called Get a Grip, and they were pretty good sized tournaments. So I am friends with your buddy Chris Myers and Steve Black and Shelly Harris came down. Matter of fact, my place was where Shelly Harris beat Craig Toulier for the $1,000 super match. If you saw that, if you heard anything about that or whatever back in the day, that was a heck of a match. So yeah, I'm familiar with a lot of those guys up that way.
On more than one occasion, Chris has encouraged me to take a chance, pull in a class that I don't expect to do all that great in. It happened 2019 in Anaheim in the Nationals. There were no other disabled pullers for me to pull, so I just hopped in the stand-up class, and I got a win there. Had some had some fun matches. I got one win, which is one more win than I anticipated, and certainly this weekend I didn't expect to do all that much, but somehow I wound up finishing sixth place on the left arm.
Wow.
Um,
So is
out
your
of
is your left your more dominant arm typically?
Seems that way, yeah. For whatever reason. Um, I tend to do a little bit better on the left. I've always thought that it was because I've got there's usually a smaller field on the left, but maybe I'm not giving myself enough credit there.
I think you're probably just as strong. If you're as strong left-handed as you are right-handed, you'll always do better left for whatever reason. But we've got a small team compared to a lot of them. We have 10 or 12 pullers, but seems like for whatever reason, we got some really good lefties. So
Yeah.
now I am the worst left-hander on the planet. I've been pulling 37, let's see, yeah, 35 years, and I can't beat a good novice guy left-handed. I don't know. It's just, it knows what to do. It won't do it. I don't know what the deal is. This one, on the other hand, it tends to do all right. So you met Mr. Bajent. Well, that was pretty interesting, I'm sure.
Yeah, he's been to Syracuse a few times. We've There's a gentleman here named James Reed, who actually it's James who got me into arm wrestling. I was actually taking martial arts lessons, and James is highly skilled in martial arts, and he was one of my instructors. And I just saw one day that he posted that he was going to promote a arm wrestling tournament on Facebook here in Syracuse, uh, and I registered for that. And that's where I met Chris Myers, and we all started training at Chris's house. And the rest from there has been a really amazing friendships. And I just at the beginning I didn't think I was going to get very far because I got smoked my first tournament. Um, and it took me a good 6 months, maybe even a year before I got my first win. But and the pain, that first year of pain that'll make that separates the arm
Yeah,
wrestlers from everybody else.
that outer tricep pain is brutal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I toughed through it. And from there, let's see, we went. First nationals I ever went to was 2017. We went to Tahoe, um, and let's see. I believe I pulled Billy Kirk and Rick Bannis there. So I believe that's where I met both of them.
Kirk's from
And
Tennessee, I think.
he's definitely Southern. I don't know. I forget
Yeah.
exactly, but yep. Um, pulled both of them. Great guys. We still chat all the time. We're good buddies. And there's another gentleman I pulled. I wish I could remember his name, but um, so we pulled. I got national championship. Um, Actually, I should tell you a cooler story. Even before going to nationals, Chris and I, it was about a Wednesday. We were practicing at his house, and just on a whim, we decided, hey, there's the Wall Regional in Philadelphia. We should go there. So we that weekend we loaded up, headed to Philly, and pulled the Wall Regional. There was a gentleman in the front row. We just got to chatting with. Really nice guy. We exchanged Facebook information. It was later on after that that Chris brought up the idea of going to nationals, and I made a post, probably a GoFundMe or something like along those lines, to raise money or to find sponsorship to go to Tahoe. Well, this gentleman that we met in Philadelphia, named Jamie Paye, he called me up and said, "Hey, if you'll wear my company shirt, I'll be happy to be your sponsor." And he sponsored us to go to Tahoe, and I won the national championship both arms, um, and had a great time in Tahoe. And then shortly thereafter, Jamie got to talking, and we he basically said, "In for a penny, in for a pound. Let's go to the world." And that's how I found myself in Budapest in 2017 at the IFA Worlds.
Sweet.
Um, I'm sorry, at the WAF Worlds rather. And then it was at the WAF Worlds where I met Anna Mazarenko, and she invited me to come to Poland. So I saw my first Zloty live.
Oh wow,
Um,
that's something I always wanted to do is go over and check that out.
yeah, saw Zloty and competed. I believe it was called the World Cup for the Disabled. Um, and been to Poland 2017, 2018, and 2019. I went to Poland from not my memory serves me correctly, and had a great time. Love it over there. Love pierogies. Lot of great people that I'm lucky to see every year. Um, and of course, 2020 went to went to the Nationals in Atlantic City. In And we weren't able to. They wound up postponing the Worlds that were set to be in Orlando. That
Yeah.
occurred. That occurred in 2021. I went to that Worlds and won that. Unfortunately, I only had two opponents, and they were actually pulled up. We were all grouped together. They were lighter weight classes, um, but we made the best of the time there. Had a great time seeing
Mhm.
Disney and all that.
Well, all you
Um,
can beat is who shows up, man. That's all you can do.
that's
Now, I haven't been in years out. I won my first nationals in California in Bakersfield. It was AAA nationals, but I went to some of Leonard and Denise's stuff out in Denver and some Montana and some places. They used to have a guy named Alan Alan something, who
Yep.
had some disabled tournaments out that way. I didn't ever pull any at that time. But now, when I first started, they had a sit down national and a stand up national each year. So, and instead of taking the top two to worlds, they took the winner of each. And this now, I've been hurt 27 years. I've been pulling 35. So I had 8 years that I was, not disabled. But I was better sitting down than I was standing up for whatever reason anyway. So now I've only pulled one sit down tournament since I've been hurt, and it was the sit down in Virginia.
Yep.
And I was fortunate enough to win it, but it was one of the first ones when they didn't have quite as much competition as they have in the past. But again, all you can do is beat who's in front of you, you know. But I really every year I say I'm going to go, but this pressure sore is on my left side. And if I get in a 5 minute grinder and I'm just, everything's all on that pressure sore, it just scares me to death. So I'm not really sure if I'm going to try that or not because they don't think this thing's ever going to heal. I've had two flap surgeries and they don't think it's ever going to heal. But you were talking about a diet. I've got a new doctor, medical doctor, and he's putting me on a diet starting in about 2 weeks. That just for 6 weeks, it's insane. It's not really a diet as far as losing weight. It's just a clean eating. Um, of course, biblically, no pork, no shellfish. Then he won't let me have no dairy for 6 weeks. No processed food. Can't have white potatoes. I can have red skin potatoes. It just goes on and on. I don't know how I'm gonna. Hang on one second here. All right, I'm on the free thing of this thing. So, oh. All right, sorry about that. Lost you for a minute. We don't
All
have a
right.
whole lot of time left. I'm on the free version of this baby. So, but yeah, so for 6 weeks, it's going to be extremely interesting. But my blood work, they checked it, and for the last 5 years, it's just every single thing they check has gone downhill to where almost everything is just barely out of you got this range. Well, now I'm finally barely out on everything. It's not bad, but it's a downward trend. And he really thinks with this diet that he can get this blood work back up and start trying to heal this pressure sore. So I'm excited about that. I mean, I'm
Good
not
to hear.
looking forward to not eating anything because basically you can't eat out. I mean, you can't have any butter. You can't have any, I don't know, the way you cook it's a certain way. So it's going to be rough for about 6 weeks, but I'm curious if my actual arm wrestling strength will get better by eating clean as opposed to Kentucky Fried Chicken 4 days a week and, pizza the other time. So I'm terrible on what I eat. It's amazing that I don't weigh but 155 or 160. I don't know how I must have
Wow.
good metabolism to be so light.
All right.
Um, well, now going back to Myers again, I haven't seen him in a long time. Am I thinking right that he's got a disabled son or daughter?
He has two sons with autism. Yeah.
Yep. So he's got a heart for disability anyway. And I may
He's got
be dreaming this, but I think that Travis Bagent may have had someone, and again, I may be way off here, but I'm thinking Travis may have had a brother at one point in time that was in a wheelchair or something. So,
I haven't heard about that.
and again, I might be crazy. I mean, me and him are pretty good buddies. I just need to ask him. But one time I think I asked him, I said, all right, so we're pretty good buddies. Why? What's the deal here? You're a little stronger than me. And I think he finally admitted that he had somebody in a chair at one time or whatever. So he puts on that big tough guy face, but he's actually a pretty good dude.
Yeah, he is. He's of course he didn't has I appreciate this fact, but when he slammed me, he certainly didn't. He was gentle, but he would certainly celebrate it the same way that he would as if he beat anybody else, and I wouldn't want it any other way.
Exactly. Yep. Exactly. So he's got a son who's a quarterback for Shepherd's College, and he's
He does.
kicking butt, buddy.
Yep.
If he'll stay healthy the next, 3, 4 months till it's over, I believe he's going to be a fairly high draft pick. I believe he's going to make some serious cash.
That'd be really cool.
Well,
Actually,
buddy, I
that's
have certainly enjoyed this. Like I said, we're getting a little bit short on time, but congratulations. I'm glad to get to know a little bit more about you. Yeah, now I got a new friend, so let's keep up.
Absolutely.
And if I ever head up that way, get where I can travel a little bit, we need to get together and pull sometime.
Absolutely. Looking forward to it.
All right, buddy. Good talking to you.
Great to talk to you.